Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.
Step back, call game like Dame. Now they all know our name. Crossover, then go straight to the hezzy. I'm a dunker like Denny. Small market, yeah, we making it big. Now we got too many Kamaras. Clinging on guards like Drew. You can't even move, ain't nobody stopping us. Rip City turn, we making some noise. Past to the present, we get it like Lord. More to be rockin', we bringing the force. Yang with a dime, that's a bucket, of course. If straight and by the dunk, you gotta move. Young and still hustling like Scoop. Come and tab in, see what's new. Blazers Uprise on the crew.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Sleeper. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers get one game closer to 500 as they take care of business against the Los Angeles Lakers, winning by a final score of 132-116. This was a game the Blazers led throughout, a lead that got as high as, actually, I don't know the number off the top of my head. And the team stats aren't ready. They led by about 20. I think it was a little higher than that at one point. They end up winning by 16. A really, really nice win considering the Blazers didn't have Denny Avdija tonight. They had a quick little two-game homestand without Denny, won both games, beating the Hawks and the Lakers, and now are a single game below 500 with a game tomorrow night against the Sacramento Kings. A game where Caleb Love, Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe all showed up for your Blazers. Donovan Klingan had a solid game as well. This was a shorthanded Lakers team, a Lakers team without Austin Reeves and without Luka Doncic. So the Blazers were favored despite their injuries in this game, and they took care of business. Unlike the last time they played a shorthanded Laker team in Portland, if you remember that game from earlier in the year. The Blazers took care of business today, looked good doing so. This was a very fun, comfortable game to watch. We don't say that much. The Blazers have been in a lot of close games so far this season. This was not one of those close games. The Blazers taking care of business. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I mean, the Blazer game was good. Just want to say real quick, the Niners season didn't finish as we would hope, but still, with everything they faced this year, pretty good season. I think it's one to be proud of, and obviously getting blown out sucks. Congrats to all the Seahawk fans out there for the dub, but yeah, proud of my Niners for battling through all the adversity this year, and hopefully they'll regroup and battle again next year. I know you don't feel that way, but
this stream will be my way of forgetting what happened today. But I will say this. When they lost in Week 18, I knew their chances of a Super Bowl were gone. Like, that loss hurt a lot more than this loss. But another season without a championship for your boy. All right, another season. I think I've been watching sports for 20 years. I'm like 0-80 because I have, 4 teams. I'm like 0-80 on championships, like starting to wonder, when is it ever going to come for me? Looks like it might come for Seahawks fans. I'm not so lucky. So, I also, think that at this point, if you know, they need to move the substation, Eric. They need to move the electrical grid they have next to their practice facility because everybody gets hurt.
Wait, they need to move the electrical grid or move the practice facility?
One or the other. I don't care which, but it's also next to the stadium. Move the, the health of this team is more important than the substation. I'm kind of trolling. Anyway, that's all we have to say on the game. I don't want to think about it. I want to think about this win because this win was a lot more fun. This win, it was nice to have a comfortable win, not worry about the Blazers losing a game that they shouldn't lose against the Lakers. It was nice that the team showed up offensively without Denny Avdija. I mean, this Lakers team straight up sucked tonight. You had Nick Smith Jr., who torched the Blazers earlier this year for, I believe, a season high, and maybe it was a career high, like 25 points or so. And he gets an open three in this game and airballs. It's like, yeah, that's the Nick Smith Jr. I know. I don't know who the hell the Nick Smith Jr. that played against us earlier in the season was or where he's been. That was just kind of a flash in the pan. And it was nice because, honestly, like, they score 116. Would like to keep it a little bit lower than that. But it felt like they had no rhythm offensively all night. Shout out to the Blazers defense. Marcus Smart hit a couple deep threes, contested threes, and he goes 4 for 6 from 3. Like, you'll live with that. You know what I mean? He's not the best three-point shooter. And it wasn't like he was being left open like the Blazers' game plan to purposefully leave guys wide open. You know, they got a couple good contests on a couple of those threes, and they went in, and Marcus Smart has 25 points today. Drew Timme off the bench has 21 points today and goes 3 for 4 from 3. I kind of enjoyed watching Drew Timme have a good game in a game the Blazers were blowing him out because Drew Timme's my guy, but he was cooking. And outside of that, nobody really showed up. LeBron finishes with 20 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 for 16 from the field, but he was 3 for 12 in the first half. He was brutal in the first half. And this play kind of, I think, embodied the entire game for the Lakers. At the end of halftime, the Lakers were down double digits, cut it to 8, and had the opportunity to take the final shot and cut the lead to 5 or 6, or at worst, go into halftime down 8. And that was a positive development for them because they were down more before that. They were kind of going on a little bit of a run to end the half, and it was like, this is where they cut it close, and then we have to stress about it in the second half. Instead, LeBron, with the shot clock off, misses a layup with about 9 seconds to go, smokes a layup, and he smoked a couple today, and it turned into a run out for the Blazers, a Caleb Love lob to Shaedon Sharpe, and the Blazers go up into halftime up 10. And that was, I think, a momentum-killing play for the Lakers, because I don't think they cut it closer. I'll look at the game, the play-by-play here. They cut it to 9. They cut it to 8 at the start of the second half, but the Blazers immediately went back up double digits and never looked back. They led by double digits the rest of the game. So they really controlled things there in the second half. They had a nice run there in the third quarter behind multiple guys. I thought there was 5, 6, 7 players tonight that all played well. So it's going to be fun to get into the player-by-player stuff here in a bit. But just to rattle off some names, Shaedon Sharpe, 9 for 18 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, had 4 assists, 2 turnovers. We like a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnour ratio. You know?
He had a lob to Klingan. He doesn't hate him.
The thing is, yeah, I know. That lob.
Oh, you're going to poo-poo the lob, too?
No. It was the right play. But also, like, I saw that coming from a mile away, and I was like, please throw it. And then he threw it. I was like, okay, good. I was going to be triggered if that was going to be one of the things where if he, like, shot a layup and got blocked, I was going to come on the postgame show and be like, dude, how do you not see him? But he threw a lob. He had a couple good passes in this game. Like, I just ask for him to pick his spots better, and I thought the shot selection was good today outside of a couple of mid-range shots he took. I mean, one was walking straight into a 15-footer that was open, so I guess it's not the worst shot. He just hasn't made that shot enough this year. There was one, little step-back 18-footer early in the clock that I couldn't stand, but outside of that, like, pretty good decision-making. He did have some sloppy moments with the ball off the dribble that didn't turn into turnovers. That is just kind of a part of the Shaedon Sharpe experience today, but he did a good job leading this team today. 25 points, 4 assists, 3 boards, only 2 turnovers, and he was a plus 20 tonight. And with Deni Avdija out, that's what you ask Shaedon Sharpe to do, and this was only in 29 minutes. The other big positive of this game was every Blazer played under 30 minutes except Caleb Love. He played 31 because he was playing in garbage time and added a couple buckets to his stat line. Good for him. On the first night of a back-to-back, and you got some injuries, some question marks about what players that are still kind of coming back from injury, if they're going to play tomorrow night against the Kings. It was good for the Blazers to have a game where they were in control. They didn't have to exhaust a ton of energy. They didn't have to play Shaedon Sharpe 38 minutes in this game. So I thought this was just all around a great night because he played well, Klingan played well, Drew. He only had 9 points, but he had 4 assists in 20 minutes. Like, in 20 minutes, this is a good stat line. He has some really beautiful passes to Klingan. Kind of got him going there a little bit. Sissoko played well. He was 5 for 7 from the field, had 14 points. Jeremy Grant off the bench, 22 points in 22 minutes. 6 for 12 from the field. He got to the line 9 times. That was a theme for the Blazers. They got to the line. And then Caleb Love, 22 off the bench. Robert Williams, 8 points in 17 minutes. I thought Robert Williams was very, very solid. Just had a good general impact on this basketball game. There's a ton of players that played well tonight, a ton of guys that showed up, and this was just a really, really comfortable win in a game that the Blazers needed to get a little bit of rest, considering they haven't had more than one day off in a row since Christmas Eve and Christmas. It's been 3 weeks. Now they're on a back-to-back, and then they finally get some time off Second game against the Kings, a game that they should win. Maybe they'll have Denny back. We'll see who plays between Drew and Grant. I assume Robert Williams is going to be out. But that's a game that they should win, and it's a good thing that they didn't have to play an insane amount of minutes to take care of this game against this Lakers team that the Blazers were clearly better than in terms of the rosters that were on the floor tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to talk about a bunch of positive contributions, like you mentioned. It's just, it's good. I thought at the beginning of this game, we leave Maxi Kleber wide open for a three, and I don't know what his percentage is this year, but I know ever since his Dallas days, he hasn't been like the greatest 3-point shooter, but he's still very capable if you leave him wide open. And then he got the ball wide open again, decided to drive, had like a nice finish in the lane. And I was like, oh my God, are we going to get cooked by Maxi Kleber?
I know, I had that same thought.
And luckily they kind of adjusted on that pretty quickly, unlike the last few games when they just continue to run the same coverage. But they kind of mixed it up a little bit. And from there on out, I thought they did a really good job of controlling the game on both ends. And I felt like tonight they had a lot of compete in them. Like they battled for a lot of rebounds. They had a ton of second chance points, obviously. But I don't know. It just like, when you play a team like the Lakers, sometimes they get some breaks and, like loose balls, you're like scared to do it because, oh my gosh, that's LeBron getting that ball or whatever. But I thought they did a pretty good job of not being scared and just like going at them and reaching for the ball. Had a lot of deflections and steals. And well, I don't know if they like counted for steals, but they knocked the ball away a lot. And it was just a fun game to watch. I felt like they had a lot of good cuts on offense. Yeah. I think Sharpe, there were a couple times him and I forgot who else it was, but there were a couple plays early on where Klingan was just standing there wide open around the basket, and they missed a few, but or they missed him a few times. They could have had even more assists tonight, but I thought overall it's just really good team basketball. I didn't feel like anyone, even Jeremy comes in and scores a bunch, but I didn't feel like he was going out of his way to be disruptive in the offense by getting his. And it was, I just really felt like it was a fun game. And I like when the team plays hard. You might not win every game, but that's what we have to do when we're this shorthanded still. So I just thought the Blazers did a good job of controlling the game throughout.
Yeah, I thought they played decisive offensively in a way that even last game, although they won it, they struggled to at times, and especially the game before against Golden State, their first game without Denny, you could tell how indecisive they were, and they weren't making quick decisions, and they were kind of stuck offensively in the half court. I thought tonight especially, they made good quick decisions all game long, and good quick reads, good quick passes. And a lot of the cutting within the offense is sparked by somebody being able to win at the point of attack, turn the corner on a drive, draw a defender, get defenders' heads to turn and watch the ball, and then whoever they're guarding will cut behind them. There was a lot of that today with the Blazers being able to get into the paint, generate some cuts. They got to the free throw line a lot. They had 27 free throw attempts at halftime, which was insane. That evened out there in the second half a little bit. The Blazers only shot 7, but they didn't really need the free throws today. They made 7 more than the Lakers. So, yeah, that helped. But the Lakers, 19 for 21, 90%. The Blazers, 26 for 34, 76%, which is an okay percentage. I just liked how decisive they were offensively. My biggest worry, and I talked about this in the first postgame show after the Blazers took on the Warriors, was, you're asking guys to do too much without Denny. Like Sharpe's bumped up to the number one offensive option, and he's not as much of a facilitator or playmaker for others, and has had some turnover struggles this year on top of that. And then in that game specifically, there was really nobody being able to turn the corner, win at the point of attack. But having Jeremy Grant back, having Drew, who looked, I think, better in this game than he did his first couple of games back, like he looked sharper today, especially on some of those passes. Like he was able to get into the paint and feed Klingan a couple of times. Having those two guys step up and create a little bit, and then, you had some guys make some threes. City Sissoko hit a really tough three in this game. Caleb Love hit shots once again today. You had those guys step up, but I really think the Blazers did a good job of getting the ball into the paint and then cutting off of that. And, I mean, there was a play where they had 2 cuts in a row where they hit, I forget who it was, but like the ball got inside the arc, somebody cut, they hit the cutter with the pass, and then somebody else cut, and they made the next pass, and it was like, all right, I can't remember the last time in the half court I've seen 2 guys cut in a row and the ball gets swung like that. I don't know if you remember what play I'm talking about, Eric or chat, but
yeah,
that was
I forgot who it was.
Yeah, I forgot who it was, but that was a super impressive play, man. Like they just did a really good job of just kind of carving this defense up in a way that surprised me a little bit, even with how shorthanded the Lakers are, and they're not a good defensive team. We've seen the Blazers, I think, even against some poor teams, kind of get stuck offensively and move side to side, and there's really nothing downhill. And that was my biggest worry without Denny Avdia, is like, okay, they're so reliant upon Denny's dribble drive game to spark their offense. How's it going to look? It looked awful in game 1, and I had maybe some hope, but not a ton of optimism that the Blazers would be able to come home and win these 2 games that they did against the Hawks and the Lakers, just because of how stuck their offense was looking against Golden State. But it's gotten better. It was a little bit better in the Hawks game. They were able to win that game. A big reason was because they held the Hawks to 14 fourth quarter points. And then today, it looked really, really good. Still need Denny back because, when you go up against a really good defense that has good point of attack defenders, do you trust this roster to be able to beat high caliber defenders off the dribble consistently? I still think they maybe struggle with that, but I thought the passing was pretty sharp today. 24 points, 24 assists, 15 turnovers. That's a solid assist to turnover ratio as a team. Just really pleased with the offense. They shoot 38% from 3, 16 for 42, so you could say they made threes, but like that's slightly above league average. For the Blazers, that's well above league average because they're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. But it's not like they just got super hot from 3 and made 45% of their threes. It's not like they got 20 offensive rebounds and was able to score that way. You look at the field goal percentage, 52% from the field, which means from 2, they were 29 for 44. Somebody in chat can break out the calculator and do the math on that, but that's about 65%. That's my mental math. 65% from 2 or so. Really, really good number. They didn't have a rim protector today. Maxi Kleber was their starting center. Ayton ducked another one of his former teams. He has a habit of doing that for whatever reason. And the Blazers took advantage. They didn't just settle for threes all game long, even though they shot about half their shots from threes. They attacked, got quality shots from 3, got quality shots in terms of their cutting, some dump-offs to Klingan. Klingan had 18, kind of awoke offensively, at least inside the arc today. So just really, really positive offensive game from them.
Someone said today was the 2-year anniversary of the ice game where Ayton missed.
What's funny hearing that is like it feels like we haven't, I know we've had ice a couple nights here, but it hasn't felt anything close to wintry to me. It's been a little cold, hasn't. But yeah, it's been a mild winter for us. So yeah, if only Ayton was still here, he wouldn't have to worry about any ice this winter. It sounds like so.
Well, even on the mountains, they're having trouble with not enough snow for skiing and stuff. So yeah, we're having a very warm winter. It was so nice out the last couple of days.
I know.
It's like kind of springish weather, but Ayton not playing obviously helps this, but the Blazers, looking at the lineup that the Lakers were rolling out, they needed to control the boards in this game, and to only allow them to have 27 rebounds total for the game, it shows that 1, you shot the ball well, but 2, you controlled the glass, and I think that's always good when the Blazers find a way to out rebound another team so decisively, because we've had our rebounding issues in some of the games we've lost this year.
Yeah, and if you look at the three key stats I keep talking about, Eric, the offensive rebounding battle, the turnovers, and the fouls, Blazers win the offensive rebounding battle 12-7. The turnovers are even at 15, and the Lakers commit 25 fouls. The Blazers only 17. The Blazers shoot 13 more free throws than them. Now, they shoot better from the field. They didn't shoot better from three. They made 3 more threes because they shot 11 more threes. But the Lakers actually shot 42% from three, 49% from the field, and 90% from the free throw line. Like, that's not a bad shot-making night, especially from this roster. Like I said, you had Marcus Smart hitting some tough shots. Like, he had maybe his best offensive game of the season today. So tip your hat to a couple of guys over there that played well that normally you wouldn't expect, but like, you controlled the controllables. You made it so that Marcus Smart having 25 points didn't beat you or didn't make this a game where you had to play your starters 36 minutes, right? Drew Timme off the bench 21 minutes or 21 points in 29 minutes. You didn't make that become an issue, because you controlled the defensive glass. You controlled the fouls. 15 turnovers is kind of like the benchmark for turnovers, I feel like, because we've seen some higher turnover games. I don't know where that rank in against league average, but if they can have 15 or less, I said this, maybe it was last stream or 2 streams ago, if they can have 15 turnovers or less, then that's the goal. Especially when they're passing the ball well like they did today and cutting. If you play iso ball game, I think it's a little easier to keep the turnovers low, but I think the offense suffers from that. And you wouldn't have made 52% of your shots today if you were playing an iso all game. So just a really good balanced offense, and you just control the controllables against a team that you have a better roster on the floor than, and that's exactly what they did tonight.
Yep. It's nice to be talking about that versus the other way, and, they had the Denny excuse. So maybe, that's part of it is, we have injuries too, but there's just way too many times where we're talking about the other team missing their best players and stuff. And we're talking about, oh, well, we're missing Blake Wesley and Matisse Thybulle and stuff. So like we shouldn't be that, I guess we shouldn't be too extreme either way, but I thought looking at it, this was set up for the Blazers to, have a positive record without Denny, and that's no negative knock on oh, we don't need Denny or anything like that. That's obviously not the case. But I thought if they just play a team basketball, and once again, the bench comes in and just everyone does their job, and it really helps to get that much scoring off the bench. And the Blazers bench these last 2 games has been absolutely fantastic, and it's really helped a lot to have that scoring punch that this offense is needed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The bench should be a strength for this team. We just haven't been able to see that because the bench has been third stringers instead of second stringers. Second stringers have been starting. Third stringers have been starting. Two-way players have been starting. And it's kind of reshuffled some of the depth chart, I think. And kind of to that point, you brought up Blake Wesley. If he was healthy, maybe this is a good question for chat. We have the player of the game poll going, and it's close between Sharpe and Love, so I'll let it keep going. But you can answer this in chat. Who would you play first, if healthy, between Blake Wesley and Caleb Love? Blake Wesley was clearly ahead of Caleb Love to start the season. I would play Caleb Love ahead of Blake Wesley right now.
Oh, for sure.
There's no doubt in my mind. And this is coming from somebody that has been very skeptical of Caleb Love for years, right? And I'll get more into Caleb Love, but chat says love. Give Blake a chance to retake his spot. I mean, the guy had he was averaging 3.7 steals per 36 minutes. Everything else was not particularly good at all. Like, I'm not playing Blake Wesley ahead of Caleb Love because he gets, plays 15 minutes a game and gets 2 steals. Like, this is just not impactful enough. And especially when you look at the way the Blazers were defending at the start of the year, where they were pressuring the hell out of teams that were not yet in game shape and still knocking off the rest from the offseason. The Blazers were taking advantage of that with a really aggressive defense, and Blake Wesley looked really good because of that. Without playing that style of play and playing against teams that are just not going to fall victim to that style of play in the middle of a season, Blake Wesley's not going to look that good. Blake Wesley, without that style of play, I mean, he can defend on the ball a little bit, but Caleb Love is a better player. Caleb Love's a better player. He's a much better shooter. This team needs shooting. He's a better, I think, playmaker, honestly, at this point. Like, it's not saying a whole lot, but I think he's better off the dribble. Honestly, with some of the jump shots that Blake Wesley took, he took some questionable jump shots, I thought, during the few games that he played. I think you could make the case that Caleb Love, at least the past month, has been a better decision maker on offensively than Blake Wesley was. And defensively, Caleb Love's been fine. He's been competitive. I don't want to sit here and say he's good. I don't think he's necessarily been good, but for an offensive first two-way undrafted rookie guard, by those standards, he's been really above expectations defensively. So, I'm just saying this because I don't want to hear anybody say the excuse of, oh, we don't have Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley's the 6th best guard on this team if everybody's healthy. I mean, that counts Dame. But, like, Dame Drew, well, let's just say this season. You take out Dame, he's the 5th best guard on this team. When healthy, he should not be playing. It's Drew, Sharpe, Drew, Scoot, Caleb Love, Blake Wesley. I'd play all 4 of those guys above Blake Wesley. So that's the thing is you lost Blake Wesley, but it gave Caleb Love a chance to step up and do what he's been doing the past month. That probably doesn't happen without losing Blake Wesley. That's the thing when you have guys behind players that get injured and then your third string or two-way guys step up and make an impact. Yeah, it sucks not having Blake Wesley healthy, but Caleb Love's made it so it's not a problem.
Kenny says Wesley and Holiday are our best ball handlers. It's frustrating to watch just how bad our ball handling skills are sometimes. Blake Wesley has never really been a point guard. He's kind of a combo-ish guard, but like he's never really been the main ball handler on a team, even going back to his year at Notre Dame. So yeah,
I feel like we're forgetting who Blake Wesley is or was. I don't know.
I mean,
he's been out for so long that it's like,
yeah,
he was our second best ball handler. No, Denny's a better ball handler than him. I mean, I think Caleb Love's at least on par with him in terms of handling the ball. So yeah. Anyway, it's just random conversation there.
Yeah, he's super fast, but that doesn't mean his handles are point guard level.
Yeah. Like he's fast to the point where he's a little out of control sometimes. This team needs shooting. Caleb Love's provided shooting. Caleb Love's provided the offensive spark this team needs. So I'm with chat. Most people said they play Love ahead of Wesley. I agree. Let me think some donations, then I'll get like further thoughts on kind of just the themes from this game from you, Eric. Shout out to Bryce McFadden for becoming a starter member. Thank you, Bryce. Shout out to Braden Tennis. $5 donation says, who do you think we should get rid of to convert Love to a full-time roster spot? A consolidation trade at the deadline, or honestly, the problem is the Blazers owe him guaranteed money next year, but I still don't care for Chris Murray. I know he has a lot of fans in this fan base because he's like the lunch pail, dirty work type of guy, but obviously repair, you can get rid of him. I mean, Reith, I think, is good for the locker room, but he's barely played. He played tonight. He played ahead of Young. So maybe that says something, but you could cut Reith, you could cut Repair, you could cut Chris. Well, you can't cut Chris Murray because he's owed guaranteed money next year. But if you trade out Chris Murray, I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, I think you maybe have to find a way to dump one of those guys. Hopefully, you don't have to give up a pick to do it. There's got to be a team. Keep coming back to the Kings. Like I don't know why they wouldn't um, want to take a take a stab at getting pairing the Twins together to see if they can maybe. I mean, Keegan hasn't played well either, so maybe they can hope that helps both of them out or something.
That would be the Sacramento Kings type of thing to do.
No, I know
With the magic of brotherhood.
That's exactly what I'm hoping for. But yeah, you just got to find a way to, like, even if you traded Matisse or Raw Will or something, you include like one of those other guys just to get a 2-for-1, like make them take one of them, just so you don't have to like cut someone, or in Chris's case, you don't have dead money on the books next year. But yeah, just find a way to include one of them in a trade or something. I don't think it's the worst case to have to cut someone, but by the trade deadline, we're going to be really close to Caleb and City's game windows being closed. So we don't have a ton of time to figure this out post All-Star or post trade deadline. I mean, maybe they just hold on to guys until the last minute and then decide what to do later in the season. But I don't know, man. Without freeing up some roster spots, they can't be players on the buyout market either. I don't know if that'll come into play, but it would be nice to have a chance to maybe pick up some free help on the buyout market if we had an open roster spot. But I don't know what's going to happen. But hopefully, like a 2 or a 3 of those like small contract guys for just one bench guys, so we can have a couple of roster spots to play with, would be ideal.
So I have a question. All right, and then this is kind of like we're going off on a little side trail here. We'll recap the game. We got plenty of time to do that. But chat, please do this as well, because I'm curious to see how you guys would order this. And if you're watching back the stream after, leave a comment, okay? Right now, how would you rank the priority of these 5 guys to be on a multi-year deal on a main NBA roster spot? The 5 guys are Chris Murray, Ryan Repair, Duop Reith, Caleb Love, City Sissoko.
I think because he is a rookie and because of how well he's played over these few games, small sample size or not, I think you'd be silly not to include or put Caleb. I mean, I can maybe see City. I can hear the argument for City, but I think Caleb is playing like, I mean, I don't think it's I don't think I'm out of line by saying he's playing like a rotation player lately. So I think you have to have either him or City as your top guy in that out of those 5. So I would put Love just because I feel like he's got a little bit more, like City is one of those like dirty work players that you like to have, like glue guys and stuff. Totally fine if that's your cup of tea. I just like the ability to change a game with scoring. I think Caleb is the only one of those guys who has shown like to do that over multiple games. Like, Chris Murray could hit a couple threes in a game, or Duop can come in and hit a couple threes, but can you do it consistently? And when you're talking about, 9 or 10 game stretch in a row, like you're starting to put together massive consistency. And I think Caleb's hit 2 threes in 15 straight games or something like that now. So he's been knocking down multiple threes a game, and that's been really big. So I would say Love, City. If Murray wasn't on a guaranteed contract, I don't know. The last 3 you could probably do in any order.
Just throw out like their current contracts and situations. Just it's a hypothetical. Basically,
Honestly,
just
I might have Repair third, Murray fourth, and Reith fifth right now. Like I don't, but those last three, I don't really. Moving forward, I don't know if any of them you really need or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. Caleb, then Sissoko. So the two-way guys first. Funny enough. Third. I'd probably go Reith because I just think he's like, and maybe this is just me not knowing the locker room, but I feel like he's a good guy to have in the locker room. And he played with Young before, helping his transition, with some of the question marks around him, and then Robert Williams' health, and Klingan in college struggled with injury a little bit. I don't think it's a bad thing to have like a 4-5 fourth string, especially if they can play some at the 4 and are good for the locker room. So I'd probably put Reith third, and then I'd go probably Chris Murray fourth, I guess, and Ryan Repair fifth. But those guys are interchangeable. Like, they're very similar to me. So let me see. In chat, we have Sabir says Love, City, top 2, and then Chris Repair Duop. Nathan says Love, then City, Roops Duop, Chris. So another one, Love and City, top 2. We have Love and Murray from Tristan. So Tristan has Murray above Sissoko. Kirk Roy says Love, City, and then the rest dump. So I think we're kind of in agreement here. We got Jacob says Love and Sissoko. So if you listed in order, we got a bunch of orders here. But from the looks of it, Eric got collab cammed from the looks of it. But he's also not showing up for me, so I don't know what happened, if his computer died or what. No idea. Very strange. But it sounds like we're all pretty much in agreement that Caleb Love and City Sissoko should be on NBA roster spots over Reith, Repair, Chris Murray. I didn't include Young in this conversation because he's a developmental project. That was a first-round pick, so like that's just not really applicable. Like, obviously, he should be on this team. They shouldn't use a first-round pick on somebody they cut mid-season, even if we disagree with the pick. And then I don't think Blake Wesley, maybe I could have thrown into that conversation, but he's been out for so long. It's just kind of like a different conversation, I guess. So yeah, it's interesting, man. It's cool that we have a couple two-way players on this team that are actually contributing, because ever since the two-way was invented, the Blazers have struggled to make meaningful use of these two-way spots. This year, they've made great use of these two-way spots. And earlier in the season, I was kind of lamenting the way they use two-way spots, and I was kind of applying that to this year. But, I mean, the past month and a half has just changed my tune on that, because Sissoko and especially Love have played much better than I ever expected. They cut Eric instead. Yeah, congratulations, Caleb Love. You get a full roster spot because Eric Brandt has been cut. I don't know what the hell happened to Eric, man. He's just straight up gone. So he's just straight up gone. It's not just like a stream glitch thing. He's not showing up for me. Normally he still shows up for me. So no idea. Let me text him. Anyway. Player of the game poll. We have 40% Caleb Love, 39% Shaedon Sharpe. I think Jeremy needs more love in this poll. If Jeremy played 29 minutes like Sharpe, he would have been our leading scorer today. He had 22 points in 22 minutes. Caleb Love had 22 points in 31 minutes. He did have 7 assists, too, with 4 turnovers. But 7 assists from Caleb Love, 22 and 7. Plus 23. Eric's having connection issues. Okay, that sucks. While Eric is gone, I'll just say this, because I don't have the graphic ready for the points normally. When Eric's talking, I prep that and then put it up on the stream. But with Eric being gone, it's now a solo stream, I guess. But since he's gone, I'll say this. I was just straight up wrong on Caleb Love. I think it's very justifiable. I think it's justifiable. Because this guy, the past month, has played better against NBA caliber talent than he ever did for a month in college. Like, this is a better stretch of basketball than he ever had in college against far lesser competition. So I've been shocked at the consistency. This is a guy who for 5 years in college was never consistent like this. Never consistently made shots. Never consistently made good decisions. Never consistently played any sort of defense. And I can say that with confidence because I watched this dude a ton. I mean, I was sitting here last year like, please don't have Caleb Love on this team. I can't stand his game. And it wasn't like I was just saying that for the hell of it. I had legitimate reasons. Like, he drove me crazy in college. It has been wild to enjoy watching Caleb Love play in a Blazer uniform. It's one of the most shocking rookie seasons I think I've ever seen from a Blazer rookie, to be honest. Now, I still, every time anything is good is said about Caleb Love, people want to start comparing him to Scoot or saying we should trade Scoot. I don't think that's fair to Scoot. He's been injured all year, and I think he was going to have a huge step in year 3. I think he had a decent step in year 4. I think he was going to have another similar caliber step in year 3 and be very, very impressive. So, I always hate when we take the Caleb Love praise and then start using it to talk about how Scoot's just an asset we should just get rid of. Trading him would be trading him at his lowest value right now. So if you're trading him, you're essentially just getting rid of him. I don't think a team's really going to value him all that highly. I think he has more value to the Blazers with his upside that I believe he still has than he does on the trade market after he's missed half a season due to injury. But this is like something that's driven me crazy about Caleb Love is, the conversation, positive stuff that he does immediately gets applied to Scoot. I don't want to do that because then I'll start nitpicking his game because I think Caleb Love's looking like a rotational caliber guard, and Scoot obviously is a rotational caliber guard. So both of them are good young guards. Scoot's a little bit younger. But just from a Caleb Love standpoint, 22 points today, 7 assists, like some of the passes he's making. I didn't see him make these passes in college. Like, he looks to me like a completely different player. The only thing similar is him making tough shots, but in college he made a very low percentage of them. And this season, until this recent good stretch, he looked the exact same, where he was super inefficient. Like a month into the season, he was 33% from the field, 25% from 3, with a true shooting percentage of 44%. There was a point in time where those were his numbers. Now, the efficiency on the season is still struggling. He's still 39% from the field, 33% from 3, but it's a tale of two different seasons from Caleb Love. It's the first half of the season where he was insanely inefficient. It drove me crazy. And then the second half of the season, the last 15 games or so, where he's just been a consistent scorer, and he has been efficient. More efficient during the stretch than he ever was in college. And making consistently solid decisions at a higher rate than he ever did in college. So I just based my thoughts off him off of what I watched in college, and clearly I was wrong because now he's a completely different player. So it's fun to watch. There's always going to be a part of me until he does this for like an entire season that's going to be in the back of my mind, like thinking about that guy I watched in college and how inconsistent he was and how he'd have just these brutal shooting games, and like, is it ever going to regress back to that? But the longer he plays like this, the more confidence I have that that's not going to happen. Because he's put together a really, really nice stretch here. His shooting motion looks like Dame's. I don't think his shot looks much like Dame's at all. Kenneth says, I'm glad you admit it. He was player of the year in Pac-10. I mean, I don't think he particularly deserved that, though, to be honest. I mean, what year was he? I'll go look at his stats from college, all right? From the year he was Pac-10, Pac-12 player of the year. I guess his first year at Arizona. Yeah, I mean, he was 41% from the field, 33% from three. He averaged 18 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 3.4 assists. True shooting percentage of 54%. That's not particularly efficient. Like, that's not... I guess that's okay, especially for college ball, but 54% true shooting percentage is still an inefficient player at the NBA level. So you don't exactly expect a guy who in his college career had a true shooting percentage of 50.7. His last year had a true shooting percentage of 53.4 to come into the NBA and be consistently efficient. Normally, you don't see five-year college players that play the way he does come into the NBA and turn into more efficient players. It's pretty rare. But that's what he's been the last 15 to 20 games. So... like the stream for another dub. Yes, Josu. Thank you. Like the stream. Let me read off some comments here since we don't have Eric. I think this confirms Love watches Blazers Uprise and started hooping because of Torrey. Listen, if I motivated him to just prove me wrong, then you're welcome, chat. And I would like a 5% commission on his first real NBA contract that's coming. All right? Just 5%. Yeah, he's in conversation for all rookie. Trevin just tries to rage bait me now. He says, Torrey signing the apology form? No, I'm not going to apologize for any of my takes. They were founded based on... I will never apologize for a take that I have. I will never apologize for a take that I have. Because I never have a take that's just not based on anything. It's always going to be based on something. And my track record, I think, is pretty damn good. Sometimes players in the NBA, for whatever reason, play a better brand of basketball than they do at the college level against easier defenders. That's been the Caleb Love experience. So... but also you have to wonder, like, situation matters a lot with young players, and this has been the perfect situation for Caleb Love. One, because of the opportunity he's gotten due to the injuries. Two, because he has good guards mentoring him. He has Damian Lillard, he has Drew Holiday, and he's improved a ton throughout the season. Like, this isn't just he finally found his rhythm and finally got confident or this or that. He always played confident. He always played like he was in a rhythm. Like, he's clearly gotten better this year. So you have to wonder, all right, how much is the mentorship helping him? This has been the perfect situation for him. I think there's a lot of young players that could pan out, and then they end up in situations that aren't necessarily good for them, and they don't pan out not necessarily entirely due to the situation, but I think it plays a large part. I think a good example of that is a guy that was playing garbage time on the other side of the floor today, Dalton Connect, who ended up going to the Lakers. He had some really impressive moments in the first half of last season. And then he was involved in a trade that then got rescinded, and that kind of killed his confidence. And that team needs defensive help, and that's the one area he struggles. If that guy was in, Brooklyn, what would he look like? If that guy was in Sacramento getting a ton of opportunity with a bunch of guys out, what would that look like? If he was in Portland, I think Portland would be a better situation for him, right? So I think situation matters a lot for young players. And I think Caleb Love found the perfect situation. And part of it's due to circumstance with the injuries that the Blazers have experienced. All right, we'll read some more donations. Tay Plays, yeah, I was getting to your donation. I was just having the conversation from the last donation. Tay Plays with a $5 donation says, do you guys think the coaching? I'm not sure. I'm going to my first national TV game on the 3rd. Super excited. I hope Denny and maybe Scoot are back. Yeah, I hope Scoot's back, man. I hope Scoot's back. This team could be so much fun with Scoot and Denny back with this lineup that we saw today. You know, just take out the repair minutes and, I don't know, figure out some other things minutes-wise. But do we think the coaching's good? I think you're starting to see the pros of the motion offense in the way that it's designed. Because you have guys that are making threes, a higher percentage of threes lately. One of the issues with the motion offense and being too reliant upon it was the fact that you need proper spacing in order to run this system, and the Blazers don't have the best shooting lineup. But you have guys shooting better. Sharpe shooting better than he was earlier in the season from 3. He was good from 3 today. Caleb Love's shooting better than he was earlier in the season from 3. I mean, even City Sissoko, even though it's kind of like every other game, he's had some moments where he's made some threes. Donovan Klingan had that stretch where he was shooting the 3 ball. Unfortunately, that seems like that's over because he was he was inspired by Okongwu going 5 for 15 last game, and Klingan went 1 for 7 tonight. But despite Klingan going 1 for 7, Drew going 1 for 5, Tamani's shooting the ball a little bit better, even though he's still low and consistent. He's shooting the ball a little bit better than he was earlier in the season. Yeah, Jeremy Grant back today. Like, guys making more threes, I think, is opening up this offense a little bit more. I thought it was interesting. Anthony Simons had a comment talking about how he's able to play with better spacing, essentially, in Boston. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but I'm paraphrasing here. And he said something along the lines of, in Portland, he had to play chess to figure out how to get little bits of space to get his shot off. And in Boston, he just has a lot more space to operate. And I think that's just because Boston is clearly a better three-point shooting team. They have the 7th best three-point percentage this season, while Portland is still at 29%, 29th. They were actually, this includes today, they're tied for last place in terms of the 3-ball. So it felt like it was better, but maybe it's not. They have so much room for improvement with their 3-point shooting. What if they were just able to become league average? Now, the difference between league average and where the Blazers are at, honestly, is not a huge difference. There's a much bigger difference between the 15th place team and the first place team than there is between 15th and 30th. There's a bigger difference between 15th and, third, I guess. Basically, Denver shoots 40% from 3, and then Milwaukee shoots 39% from 3. Those are the top 2 teams in three-point shooting, and then there's a 1.5% drop-off. Denver's at 40%, Milwaukee's at 39.3%, and then New York's third at 37.6%. But league average is 35.8%. The Blazers are at 33.9%. I think as long as they just don't have games where they have a lot of bad shooters shooting threes, even if they are a near bottom of the league three-point shooting team, if they have guys that can knock down 33 to 35%, the defense will respect those guys more than if you have guys that shoot 25% and defenses don't care about completely leaving, right? So, if you have a 40% shooter that shoots a lot and a 25% shooter that shoots a lot and averages out to, 34%, that's worse than if you have 34% three-point shooters, just in terms of the spacing, because defenses can just leave the guy that shoots 25%. And with guys like Klingan, he's up to, 32. I don't know what it is after this game because it's going to take a hit after this game, but he was up to 33% from 3. Sissoko was up to low 30s from 3. Sharpe as well. Like, you have a lot of these guys that are just making enough threes to keep defenses honest, and I think it's creating a little bit more space for this offense to operate. Connor in chat says, cough, Chris Murray. Yeah, that's why Chris Murray kind of drives me crazy, because defenses can leave him in the corner and he makes 25% of his threes. But I think sometimes that's why you have to contextualize stats, because both of those combinations can boil out to the same number, but they are different results on the floor. Anyway, thank you, Tape Plays, for your donation. Hopefully Eric's back soon, man. Was not expecting a solo stream. I need to hydrate. Although, is this hydration? I don't know. I don't know if I need a sponsor by them, by the way, because I drink a lot of them on stream. Does that count as hydration? Sparkling ice? I don't know. I need to hydrate. Keep the voice fresh. All right, we'll end the player of the game poll. Caleb Love, 40% of the vote. 40% of the vote. So he's been a lot of player of the game polls this season. Nickel Toe says, horrible effort tonight, way too many turnovers. Are you talking about the Lakers or the Blazers? There's no player of the game. All right. All right, we got a troll in chat. Kind of says our schedule is much easier. Second half team numbers will improve. Book it, we will win 45 games at least. That is a bit optimistic. That's a bit optimistic. But also, like, even against good teams, you should be able to knock down threes. Like, just take the right threes, you know. If your three-point shooting is tied for last in the league because you're playing good teams, I think part of that says that you're not taking high-quality threes. You're settling for threes that are tougher quality against good defenses, where maybe you should be trying to attack when they run you off the line. And we're talking about a Blazer team that for years has been near the bottom of the league in three-point percentage. Last year they were 26th. The year before they were 30th. So back-to-back years they were bottom 5. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that they're bottom 5, and I don't think an easier schedule is necessarily going to make it so they make threes. I mean, we've seen some of these players have some really brutal stretches missing wide-open threes. So I don't think the opponent in that equation changes. Just can Donovan Klingan knock down open threes? Can Sidy Cissoko knock down open threes when they're playing? I think the thing that would matter more for that number improving is you have Jeremy Grant healthy again, you have Drew Holiday healthy again, you get Scoot Henderson healthy, Caleb Love continues being this consistent. Tape Plays on his earlier donation says, what I meant to ask was, do you think the coaching is getting better? Yeah, that was kind of my point. I got sidetracked. I don't even remember with what. But I think defensively, I like that they made the adjustment of, like, especially since we're shorthanded, let's not run ourselves to death trying to pressure other teams when it's not even forcing turnovers. I said that earlier in the season. They need to focus on playing more fundamentally sound defense. They're doing that. Now, the defense, since making that adjustment, is still about league average. It's still not as good as I would like. I feel like they have another level in them defensively that they have yet to reach. Maybe in a game here or there, we'll see that next level defensively. Like, you can make the case the fourth quarter against Atlanta, we saw that next level defensively, although I think, the Blazers just kind of let them shoot jump shots, and they missed basically every jump shot. But I do like that they had I like that they were logical in terms of, we're shorthanded, we're going to have to play some starters high minutes, it doesn't help them pressuring 94 feet, and the results aren't good, let's just fall back to a more fundamental defense. Now, they drop more than any other team in the league. They hedge and blitz pick and rolls less than any team in the league. So it's hard to give them a ton of props defensively because they run drop scheme and then they run a 3-2 zone that gets devoured almost all the time. So it's hard to even say, like, okay, what are they even coaching defensively other than run and drop? You know, obviously there's a nuance in terms of executing rotations and this and that, but I still think the rotations can be a bit spotty and a bit slow. There's the play, the bronze dunk today where, like, 2 guys rotated out on him. The Blazers get confused a little bit too much in terms of rotations, so, like, that's not dialed all the way in. So I don't know if just making the change to play more fundamentally defensive sound is necessarily coaching improvement. I think it's just a logical decision. But also, would hedging and blitzing result in a better defense? I'm not entirely sure. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to some of these players to execute a little bit better defensively and be a little bit better individually and communicate a little better. Like, there's so many nuances that go into defense that have to be done by the players on the floor. Offensively, I like the decision that they went back to running a little bit more ball screen stuff. I still think they could design better action off the floor, or not off the floor, off the ball. Yeah, we got players on the bench screening for each other. No, I think, going to a few more curl screens a game from Shaden, because I think he operates really well in those, and kind of mixing in some different sets and actions on top of their motion offense would be great. But I do like that they have been using Klingan especially a lot more in the pick and roll, because we throw good lobs. Like, we got 2 really good lob targets. One's 7'2" and one's 6'8", but jumps really quick in Rob Williams and has a crazy long wingspan, so he plays bigger than 6'8". And you have Denny, who's been connecting on lobs. Shea threw a lob today. So they made a couple adjustments that I've liked this season, but I still think there's some things that could be improved upon. Anyway. Let me try and get this graphic ready while I speak, I guess, because I guess at this point, Eric is down for the count, unfortunately. I'm trying to stall talking about the players, but once we're like an hour and 15 minutes, and I'll go into a deep dive on the players. In the meantime, I'll take your questions. We will be live again tomorrow. Here's the schedule. Blazers take on the Kings. Man, would it be nice to get a win against the Sacramento Kings and then have 3 days off while we're at 500. I would like to be 500. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Because then you got a home back-to-back against the Heat and the Raptors. Both those teams are in the playoffs. But I think the Blazers, if they have Denny and Drew and Jeremy, I like their odds. Like, I think they should definitely be able to win 2 of their next 3 and be 500 after the 23rd. And then you got the Celtics on the road. Of course, they've been playing good basketball this year. You got the Wizards. That's a game that the Blazers should win. And then you got the Knicks. That's going to be a tough game to end out the month. And then it doesn't really get easier before the All-Star break. The Blazers play the Cavs, then the Suns, and then they have the trade deadline. And then after that, they have 2 games against the Grizzlies at home, winnable games. A game against the Sixers, a game against the Timberwolves, and a game against the Jazz. So Blazers only have, let's see, they have 13 games before the All-Star break. The goal should be at least be 500 at the All-Star break. But, you know, if you can go 8-5 in this stretch, that is definitely a win. That's definitely a good result. It would put the Blazers at 29-27. And then after the All-Star break, that's where things start to lighten up. The schedule goes Denver, Phoenix, Minnesota, so that's a tough little stretch. But then after that, you got the Bulls, Hornets, Hawks, Grizzlies, Rockets, Pacers, Hornets, Jazz. Now, there's a 5-game road trip in that stretch, but that's a stretch where I could see a healthy Blazer team going 6-2. You know, March is an easier month because after that, you got the Sixers, Nets, Pacers again, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Nets, Bucks, Mavericks, Wizards, Clippers. Most of the games are against lottery teams in the month of March. It's just about putting themselves in a position where maybe they can make some headway up the standings in the month of March. Unfortunately, and let's just do it screen share because I don't have the ability or the time to make a graphic. I was going to, but this is why I need my co-host. Let's do this. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So the Blazers are 21-22. They're 3 games back of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors have won 3 straight. Unfortunately, the Blazers are not really making up any ground there after losing that game to them. The Suns continue to play really good basketball. The Blazers still 4.5 games behind them. They're also 4.5 games behind the Lakers. And the Lakers seem like a team that's slowly falling apart. Now, they don't have Luka. They don't have Austin Reeves tonight. So, naturally, they're going to be much worse. They've dealt with some injuries lately. But, like, Blazers have been able to win games with some injuries. The Blazers have won 7 out of their last 10 games with all the injuries they've been experiencing. The Lakers have some serious flaws that will need to be addressed at the trade deadline, but Rob Pelinka has been generally conservative in terms of addressing issues on that team. It almost feels like they're waiting for the end of this season so they can go into the offseason with $50 million in cap space, maybe try and, you know, they have to resign Austin Reeves, but maybe preserve it for the 2027 offseason. They're playing the long game building around Luka. LeBron doesn't really fit this team anymore. I don't think LeBron will be back as a Laker in 2026, 2027 season. You can maybe see him go home to Cleveland on a full mid-level exception if they conduct the first apron enough. I mean, maybe he'd go back on a minimum. That dude probably has enough money. Maybe he'd want to end his career 1 year in Cleveland with a team that could contend with him. But my general point is, I almost wonder if the Lakers are more catchable than the Suns. They're currently tied in the standings. The Lakers have some issues. They can't really survive Luka going down, it seems like, and missing a little bit of time. I mean, Reeves, even when they've had Luka, with Reeves being out, Reeves has been really good when he's played this year. But without him, this team, I feel like, is trending in the wrong direction. A win like tonight maybe makes it possible that if everything breaks Portland's way, maybe they can catch the Lakers at the end of the season. They're 4.5 games back right now. At the end of the day, the Portland Trailblazers just have to keep winning basketball games. I don't know if they have another game against the Lakers. So they're up 2-1 on the season series. They won the season series tonight. Yeah, had they have lost, they would have been 6.5 behind the Lakers, and the Lakers would have had a tiebreaker. So this win does put some things in play at the end of the season. If the Blazers can continue to rattle off wins, but you just look at the stretch. You look at the stretch. The Blazers have won 9 out of their last 12 games. They're 9-3. We were sitting here, 12-19. 12-19. We played a really tough schedule over this stretch. But we kept looking ahead, especially like starting with these games. Actually, I think it was the 7th was what we were looking ahead to, because before that it was like Detroit, Cleveland, Toronto, OKC, San Antonio, OKC, Golden State, Phoenix been playing well. Really tough schedule to open the year. And we were looking ahead to this Sacramento, these back-to-back Sacramento games. And you remember, these were the games the Blazers almost choked, right? It would have been a really bad loss. This was the game where Denny got fouled in the final second of overtime after the Blazers were up 15 with 2 minutes left to go. That would have been a really, really bad loss. This was another game that they almost choked. But after choking a couple games in the final minutes, maybe not big leads, but just having some really bad late game play, getting this 3-win streak kind of turned around the season in a way. They had competitive losses against Detroit and Orlando, games that they maybe could have won. This was a pretty brutal loss against the Clippers, but they were playing better basketball starting with this stretch. It was almost like that 23-point loss to New Orleans on December 11th kind of woke up this team a little bit. That was a pretty inexcusable loss. That was a game where the Blazers shot 29% from three. I mean, it was just the defense. You give up 52% from the field, 38% from three. Funny enough, that's our exact percentages from today. But also 19 offensive rebounds. You fouled 19 times. They only fouled 16. There's a reason why we keep looking at like the turnover battle as well. We lost by 5. There's a reason I keep looking at those specific stats. But ever since then, things have turned around for the Blazers. They won 3 in a row. They lost 3 in a row, and now they've won 9 out of 12. They've won 12 out of 18. So, I mean, you look at the teams that have been beaten by the Blazers too, like Boston, San Antonio. They didn't have Wemby, but Houston twice in a row without Şengün. Even without Şengün, with the Blazers not having Grant, not having Drew for those games, those were 2 impressive back-to-back wins. Yeah, you lost against New York. You were in that game. Denny gets hurt. Your first game without Denny looks really brutal, but then you have back-to-back 16-point wins. One against an Atlanta team that's also in the play-in, but in the East. And then one against a shorthanded Lakers team. But this is the same shorthanded Lakers team that earlier in the year you lost by 8. And if you look at the lineup in this game, they didn't have LeBron. They didn't have Luka. They didn't have Austin Reeves. They had 29 from 8 and 25 off the bench from Nick Smith Jr., who airballed a wide open 3 in today's game. Looked awful. 28 from Rui. And this was a team with Drew, with Jeremy, with Denny. Their defense was abysmal in that game. This was that point in the season when they were still trying to pressure, still force a ton of turnovers, and it was backfiring. They forced 17 turnovers in this game, but that doesn't matter when you're giving up 59% from the field, 39% from 3 against a team that is missing their top 3 players, right? And this is when I was calling for the Blazers to fall back and just play more fundamental defense that won't get cooked by guys like Nick Smith Jr. This team is a lot better than the team that took the floor all the way back in November against this Lakers team. Or was that October? November 3rd. All right, we got Eric back. Awesome.
Yo.
Awesome. Okay, cool. But yeah, just to kind of finish on my point, like they've beaten some good teams. So, I mean, if they can continue playing this well, especially against some guys back, like I would expect them to beat Sacramento. Kind of expect them to beat Miami. Kind of expect them to beat Toronto. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they can keep up the momentum. But I like seeing a lot of green on this list. A lot of wins lately.
Yeah, hopefully we get Denny back. He was listed as doubtful again, and then out.
Oh, hopefully we get Eric back because Eric right now is doubtful. Okay, you're back. Thank goodness.
Wow, I got collab cammed again.
You got collab cammed in like 30 seconds.
Wow, that's crazy. But hopefully, Denny's been listed as doubtful last 2 games, so hopefully maybe he plays tomorrow. I'm guessing, like we talked about last stream, now that he didn't play tonight, I'm guessing that they're going to just give him those 4 days off then, and then he'll play against the Raptors. It would be our next game, right? So yeah. But Tiago was asked specifically about Jeremy and Drew playing tomorrow night, and he was not willing to say whether they would or not. So I don't think it's looking good for those guys to play on the second night of a back-to-back.
I mean, they both seemed completely fine today.
Yeah,
they're on a minutes restriction. Grant played 22 minutes. Drew played 20.
Yeah, I just think they're going to be overcautious with those guys. But...
Eric, that's probably the right call, but I would hate it if we're one game below 500. Can we finally get to 500 in the second half of a season? And we're going up against the freaking Kings. They just got Sabonis back. And then if we lose against the Kings, because we don't have Denny, Drew, or Jeremy, that would kind of sting a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it would. But, I mean...
And no Rob.
Long term is more important than getting to 500, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, just be a brutal game to punt. And you still have a chance to win because it's the Kings, but it's not. It should be a easy win.
See, this is the problem though. When you have the 3 straight back-to-backs coming up, it's like, do you do the strategy where you are super overcautious and don't want to risk anyone getting hurt playing 2 nights in a row, or are you going to have to risk it a little bit to make sure people don't miss 3 out of 6 games? Because that's tough right now.
I don't know. I think if you have them on minutes restrictions and they're not dealing with any effects after playing today, to me it seems like, okay, if they're not worse for wear and they only played 20 minutes, why can't they play tomorrow? You know?
I don't know.
Especially Drew, he sat out a long period of time. It's almost like they sat him out until he was 100%. He missed 2 months, you know? So
he's also old.
Yeah, I don't know. Either they're to me it's either they're fine or they're not after tonight. If they're not dealing with any symptoms. I
mean, they sat Robo after playing 8 minutes in the first game of back-to-back. They still sat him for injury management, and he was fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel good about potentially punting this game tomorrow with a lot of the positive momentum they have. I'm hopeful that Denny was doubtful in back-to-back games, but then didn't play today because they're planning on playing him tomorrow, and especially hope he can go tomorrow if Jeremy and Drew don't play.
Yeah.
Because without Jeremy and Drew, if we have Denny, I feel pretty good about our odds to win tomorrow. But I think you at least need one of those guys. I think without any 3 of those guys, it could be a real ugly game against the Kings.
Yeah, the Kings are all of a sudden now not an easy game anymore.
Yeah, they got Sabonis back.
And they didn't play tonight. They played last night, so they're not on a back-to-back. Westbrook hit 6 threes, including a deep one last night.
God. That means he's due to go 0 for 6.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's how I view it. But yeah, I don't know. What were we even talking about before your internet said goodbye?
We were talking about ranking those 5 players. Yeah. Chat
was in agreement. I guess, is there any other kind of overall thoughts that you have from this game while I make this graphic so we can just at least see the freaking stats?
I had something I wanted to bring up.
Okay, cool.
There was a play. The Blazers tried to challenge it, but they deemed it was too late, where Tamani got his 3rd foul on a rebound just a ridiculous call, first of all.
Yeah.
So they go to timeout and they deem Portland can't challenge or whatever, fine. But looking at the replay, like there was no foul there by either player. I'm not sure why they called a foul. But my question to you, Tori, why the hell did LeBron get to shoot free throws on that? We weren't in the penalty. And I have no idea why LeBron got 2 free throws.
What point of the game was that in?
It was the first, or I think it was the second quarter, first half. I think it might have been early third quarter. I don't remember. Did chat see that too? Like what?
I think it was second quarter.
It was whenever Tamani got his 3rd foul.
Yeah. Yeah, they called it a shooting foul.
How the hell is that a shooting foul?
I didn't even notice. That was their first foul of the quarter.
I know they weren't not in the penalty, so it shouldn't have gone to the line. Like what?
LeBron, man, it's LeBron, I guess. That
So
was number
they
one
just
in
go
his
to
same
timeout
call
and
than
then
shooting free throws
Yeah.
off that. Yeah.
I don't understand what happened there because like they just were they so focused on the Blazers trying to challenge that they forgot it wasn't a shooting foul and LeBron just went and stood at the line and they were like, oh okay, we'll just give him free throws. Like what the hell? Come on, refs. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming them for anything, but like you cannot give a guy free throws on a loose ball foul when you're not in the penalty. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even notice that.
I would have been pissed if we lost like a close game.
Yeah.
That BS,
Yeah, agreed. Good observation. Sorry, I'm still cooking. Still cooking here. Anything else that you observed?
Yeah, Tamani, I mean, once again, he shouldn't have gotten that. That shouldn't have been a foul on him, but he got in foul trouble in this game. I don't know what he finished with, but
That call, and I think the call before it was
Yeah.
BS. I forget what the call before it was, but I felt like, man, all right, he's in foul trouble again, but I don't even blame him. Like, what are we calling? But you remember when
Yeah.
I said, all right, maybe he should stop crashing the offensive glass so hard? Well, I guess that was the defensive glass because he committed a shooting. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it's just an issue. He's done a decent job, I think, individually the past couple of games. He had that beautiful block on Laravia that Repair then went and immediately committed a charge on.
Yeah.
But, that was the Tamani we know. That was the Tamani we know. I wonder, if he's going to get second team all defense buzz this year just off of reputation. Because I don't think he necessarily should, but he goes 2 for 4 from 3. One of them we didn't get to see because Blazers broadcasting, so it felt like he shot worse.
Yeah.
So, there's that. But yeah, I got this graphic pretty much ready. So let's start at the top. Oh, no, I don't have it ready because why does it still say Danny Avdia on the graphic? I don't know what's going on, man. Oh, I forgot to copy the names. Okay. This is what happens when I don't have you to talk while I cook graphics. Someday this will be coded. I can't wait until I have everything automatic. Well, I had a coder that I thought was going to come through for me and then didn't, so we're having to audible mid-season. Yeah. Or I just learned how to code myself at this point. I don't know. But let's just start with Shaden Sharpe. So Shaden Sharpe today has 25 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 9 for 18 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line. What were your thoughts on his performance today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good Shaden Sharpe game. Despite everything, not having Denny in particular, you would think he would force a lot more shots, but outside of that one really tough turnaround shot that he missed, that you mentioned earlier in the stream, I don't think he took a bunch of or many bad shots. He still can do a better job of seeing players down by the basket when he drives, but it's slowly getting better. Maybe,
Yeah.
1 lob versus 0 lobs. Let's go. But I like when he doesn't. I mean, last game he had 5 turnovers, so only 2 tonight. You'll take that. And I felt like he did a pretty good job of. He's been getting a bucket when he needs to, but he's not forcing it too much. Other than that, and I've been pleased with just him. Maybe he's shooting not enough in these situations to keep some efficiency up, but he's been efficient the last couple games, so that's good to see.
Yeah, always take a 4 for 8 3-point shooting game from him. I'm kind of curious, on the month of January, what his true shooting number looks like. Let me look that up right now. Splits. So in the month of January, his true shooting number is 54.5%. That's before this game. There's still just another level of efficiency for him to unlock. Even with him playing well the last few months, or since November, I guess. November, he averaged 23 points per game in 28 minutes, 57% true shooting percentage. December, it was down to 55.6. This month, after today, it's probably around 55%. That's still slightly below average, but that's kind of close enough, especially for a high-volume shooter, where it's okay. It's still not. I still want him to make a higher percentage of shots. If you look at the 3-point shooting number this month, it was 32% before this game, so 4 for 8. That's a good turnaround from what he was shooting from 3 this month. I think just kind of the biggest issues with his overall efficiency is the times when he forces some tough mid-range looks that aren't efficient, the stretches where his 3-point shot isn't falling at a league average clip or better, and then honestly the lack of free throw attempts. If he could get to the line a little bit more, it just raises his floor as an efficient scorer, because getting to the free throw line is about as efficient of a play as you can find in basketball. It's putting points on the board efficiently. I know some people don't like true shooting percentage, so they're like effective field goal percentage because it doesn't account for the free throws, but getting free throws is efficient offense, and I want to see, all right, is this player contributing to efficient offense with their own scoring? Now, obviously, you might be a little bit inefficient, but be a volume scorer and draw a lot of attention, make things easier for everybody else. There's a lot of nuance. You can't just look at necessarily one particular stat like that. But for somebody that is pretty much mainly a scorer, like Shaden Sharpe, just want that scoring to be consistently efficient, kind of at the level that we saw tonight. He was efficient tonight, and made a couple nice passes as well. But I've always kind of said this about Shaden Sharpe. It's just, if the playmaking is going to be spotty, at least just have league average efficiency. That's kind of a goal of his for me. I'm pulling up his game log. He was 2 for 5 from 3 last game, so a couple back-to-back good 3-point shooting games where he was efficient. And the 2 games before that, he was 9 for 15, 9 for 17. He just struggled to make threes, but was good from 2. So last 4 games have been good. He had some rough shooting games to start the month. The 3 for 16 against San Antonio, I think, is actually bringing down his numbers a lot. So if you take that out, yeah, he's having a pretty efficient month. But yeah, I think that's just kind of a tricky thing when looking at its stats is, you know, you have one really bad game, it can tank your stats. You have one really good game, it can raise your stats. I don't know. I care about efficiency because the name of basketball is scoring more points, where if you score more points more efficiently than the other team, you're going to win basketball games. That's literally the name of the game. So
I love the play where he hung until the ref called a foul and then shot at the rim.
I know.
I
thought he was about to pass that, much like he passed to Repair.
Yeah.
And he was in the air for so long, he heard the whistle, and he's like, okay, I'll shoot it. He was still in the air.
Yeah, because like usually he doesn't make those kind of plays. So maybe once he sees he can maybe get a call more if he does that. Yeah, just don't shoot until you get because it looks so much worse too than if you just play through the contact and shoot it. Like you're not always going to get the calls. So maybe just like we talked about, playing up the contact a little bit, but also just using your athleticism to force the refs to make that call.
Yeah.
But then he didn't do it the rest of the game. Only went to the line one other time after that. So
yeah, just find ways to get the free throw line. I just think he has like one bad mid-range shot a game that if you just got rid of that, it would be nice. The step back like 20-footer, you know, a step inside the line was just the shot of the day that drove me crazy. You know, every game there's always one shot. And I've always said, if you're aggressive as a scorer, you're going to take a bad shot here or there. But like that shot is the least excusable shot because like at least just step back to 3. You're creating space on a step back. Like get behind the 3-point line and shoot a 3. He shot a step back 3 today and he made it. You know, and it's like you better be shooting for the extra point, you know, if you're going to take a tough step back jumper from that distance. Taking a tough step back 2 early in the clock, that's only worth 2, is not smart offense. But the 4 assists, the 2 turnovers, still falling over a little bit too much when he dribbles, especially when he's pressured above the arc. Just don't really understand why. It seems like he tries to get low, but doesn't have the lower body strength to kind of like hold some of those positions. So he stumbles or gets a little off balance. I don't know if that's going to get better at some point, but very productive game from him today. We got Donovan Klingan up next. He had 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. But he had a good game. But I think the leading conversation has to be, how'd you feel about him shooting 7 threes and only making 1 of them today?
Not great. I don't think he took a bad 3 necessarily, but man, I keep hoping. Well, not necessarily hoping. I'm kind of torn between him taking them and is it good to shoot yourself out of it? Or in his case, should he just take a break from shooting threes and just regroup and try to do other things and then go back to it at some point? Or if you miss your first couple, then don't take 5 more. I mean, he's to be fair to him, he hasn't really. I mean, this has got to be pretty close to the most he shot in a game, right? So he doesn't usually shot chuck a bunch of them if he's not making them.
Inspired him, man.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, I'm not gonna kill him for going 1 for 7 because it's not like he's doing that all the time. But at the same time, man, he's been so good in that short roll when he catches the ball off the double team. And we've been seeing double teams for our ball handlers a lot more between Shea and mostly Denny. And if he continues that, man, that play where he caught it in the middle of the paint and City drove cut baseline and LeBron was stuck having to guard both of them, and he just makes a nice bounce pass to City as he cuts. That's easy 2 points. And I feel like if we attack those kind of defenses with that kind of rim pressure, it's such easy basketball, and it's so efficient, and it gets everyone involved. And, like, there's no negatives to it. So I really like. I obviously long term, we want him to be at least in that mid to low 30 percentile in terms of making threes, so we can space the floor a little bit with him. But man, I just also think that we should be exploiting that his abilities in the high post and short roll. So um, I almost wish that sometimes, like tonight or the last few games when he hasn't been shooting threes, just keep continuing to find the position in that middle of the paint to where you can be most effective.
I also thought they found him a lot when he rolled and played around the rim. They did a better job as a team of doing that today. And in a game like this, you ask, like, all right, when does he stop shooting them? I just think at this point, I just trust him to try and play smart. And maybe there's a little bit of guidance that needs to come with that. Like, hey, man, you're 1 for 5 from 3. Like, the roll's there. Roll a little bit more. Because he was 6 for 7 inside the arc. Shot 5 free throws, But I also think with him having the ball at the top of the arc, it's not necessarily a bad thing when he's making some reads. Like, he had a couple really nice passes to cutters today. He had 4 assists today. And I've talked about how the Blazers need to do a better job of incorporating his playmaking from the top of the arc into their offense with the cutters that they have. We've seen some flashes. He had the 6-assist game against Houston earlier this season, earlier this month. But, yeah, he's 2 for his last 20 from 3. So I think the right answer is just kind of like, all right, you're 1 for 5 from 3. Like, try and roll a little bit more. But, I mean, we see Tamani go 1 for 7. We see Tamani have stretches like this, and he's still shooting. So I just don't know exactly where he is as a shooter. And it just seems like he's shooting the ball a little bit differently right now than he was when he was making shots. So if you don't feel comfortable with your form, if that's not dialed in, then don't force it. He might be a guy that's just like kind of streaky where he'll have a good couple of weeks and then a really rough couple of weeks. And hopefully he can find some more consistency, but he just has to get rid of that hitch. Like, he does something weird with his wrist when he releases the ball sometimes, and I think that puts a little bit of like you want all the force to be straight through the ball towards the rim. You don't want to be like pushing the ball to the side because then you have to counter that, right? So it just seems like he's not shooting the ball as straight right now as he was when he was making a bunch of shots. And it also seems like Eric's internet hates him. I don't know. Or maybe it's collab cam again. But those are my thoughts on Klingan. Eric's gone again. He's gone again. All right. Brutal stuff. Sissoko today, 14 points, 5 rebounds in 29 minutes. I said it last stream. It's like an every other night type of thing for Sissoko right now. And this was one of the good nights. I actually want to look at his box score, or no, his game log. And actually, I'll put it up on the screen too. Why not? Maybe I should start putting some of these game logs that I look at on my second monitor on the screen a little bit more. Cause like here, let's do this. Box score. Let me get the right box score. All right, so Sissoko. I guess not every other game. The last 3 games were pretty brutal for him. 2 for 6, 1 for 4, 2 for 7. Tonight, finally scores the ball again. It's kind of like 1 out of every 3 games. It feels like he has a good game. He had 14 points against Utah, then a nothing burger the game after, and then 13. 3 games in a row where he did not score the ball well at all. And then 14 today. I will say, though, he hasn't really been turning over the ball. He's averaging 0.6 turnovers per game in 23 minutes a game. I know he's not handling the ball a ton, but it's nice that he's not turning over the ball. He averaged basically twice as many turnovers in December. So he's not really playing mistake. He's not really making many mistakes. I think defensively he gets into trouble with some of the fouling. I mean, every game it seems like he has 3 fouls, and this is with him playing 23 minutes per game. But I think you kind of accept that as part of the energy that he brings off the bench. You want him to play with energy. He's shooting 42% from 3 this month, which is kind of crazy. So he is shooting a good 3-ball this month. I know. After this Kings game, or maybe it was after this game, I said, man, Sissoko looks like a legitimate shooter. And then he had this stretch where he missed a bunch of threes, and it was the Tory jinx. This is actually kind of reminiscent of like Klingan's stretch right now, where Klingan has been brutal from 3, and Klingan was 1 for 7 today. If you look at the Sissoko game, he was 1 for 6, like had a very similar stretch. But you look at the game after that, 5 for 7 from 3 against OKC, and he shot the ball pretty well ever since. So he's been a factor behind the arc, but he's been shooting better from 3 than he has been from 2 so far this month. So I don't really have more thoughts on Sissoko. I was hoping Eric would have more for Sissoko. Tamani Kamara today shoots... let me go back to the box score here. Tamani Kamara today, 9 points, 3 for 5 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, has 2 rebounds, 1 assist in 26 minutes. Didn't really do much offensively at all. He's back down around 33% from 3 for the month. Defense has been looking a little bit better lately. I think he's making a little bit more of an impact. LeBron really struggled today, for example. Jalen Johnson last game really struggled. So the Blazers have been able to kind of keep key players in check the past couple of games. But there's really not much to say about Tamani offensively. Like, he was 1 for 9 from 3 last game, but shot a lot more. And then Drew Holiday, 9 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. I think this was his cleanest game since returning, though. I think this was his best game since returning. Didn't really force a whole lot. I know he took that transition 3. Maybe you have an issue with that shot. I don't. He's 1 for 5 from 3 today. You would like to see him make another 3, but he's 3 for 3 inside the arc. He had 4 assists, only 2 turnovers. And all the assists were just impressive passes. Before he got injured, I was applauding the passing from him in some of the creativity he had setting up teammates. And now, obviously, he's still knocking off the rust, still getting his feet back underneath him, and is on a minutes restriction as well. 20 minutes played today. But he was able to get Klingan some easy buckets. He's able to get this offense going a little bit with some of the dribble penetration. It is crucial to have a guy like Drew Holiday when Denny Ofdia is not playing, just to be that guy that sets up Klingan, that runs some pick and roll, that's able to penetrate and create some offense, get some movement going. Because without either of those guys, you don't really have a point guard. And I know people don't consider Denny a point guard, but he plays effectively like a point guard. So without Denny, you kind of need Drew on the floor. That said, they were a -3 in his 20 minutes today, which means in 28 minutes without him, they were a +19. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't need him on the floor. I don't know. But I enjoyed his game today. And then off the bench, Caleb Love. We already talked a lot about him, but 22 points, 7 assists. He did have 4 turnovers. One of those turnovers was the behind-the-back pass he had on the drive. Honestly, I like that turnover. I don't know if it hit Robert Williams in the hands or if the defender got a piece of it, but that was a really impressive pass, a really impressive play. It seemed like it was a catchable ball. So the playmaking today on top of the shot making was really, really fun. 8 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3. he's hitting threes at an insane clip right now. At an insane clip. So this stretch now spans 14 games. This is 14 games in a row where he's been pretty efficient. You know, there's 3 games in here, 4 for 12, 4 for 12, 5 for 16, where it wasn't the most efficient night, but that's fine. Like, even good scorers have nights they go 4 for 12 or 6 for 18, you know. On the month, he's 43% from the field, 38% from 3. He's also averaging 3.5 assists to only 1.8 turnovers, basically a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. This is where, you know, I say, man, we just hope Sharpe has a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Caleb Love has twice that. All right, just had to get that out of my system. But, like, you look at earlier in the season, right, he was having a 3 for 13 nights, 0 for 4, 4 for 12, 1 for 12, 1 for 6, 2 for 6, 0 for 3, 2 for 7, 1 for 5. Like, he was super inefficient until this 14-game stretch. These were basically his numbers until this 14-game stretch. He's played a lot of minutes during this stretch, but it is only 14 games. He played a bigger sample before that just in terms of games played, but it was a lower amount of minutes. So this is where that voice in the back of my head wonders if this is just a 14-game hot streak, but, I mean, a 14-game hot streak is 14 games. It's a solid stretch that he's on right now. He's scored in double figures every single game. Now on a nightly basis, you're expecting him to score in double figures. This is, in the last 3 games, he had 7 assists, 4 assists, 7 assists. So he's making some plays as well. He's just been truly dynamic offensively. Oh, Jacob. Since Eric's not here, I'll engage with you, all right? I know you've been dying for engagement since I knew you couldn't make it the whole show, Tori. Couldn't make it the whole show without what, Jacob? Use your words. Use your words, my guy. You were complaining about what you thought I was going to say about Caleb Love before this stream even started. So tell me what you disagree with, or if you just want me to glaze him every single second of the stream and are going to be upset if I don't. Oh, Shaden. Is it bad to say I hope that Shaden has a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio? Is that a bad benchmark to set for him? Should I lower the standard? Speaking of that, does Shea finally have more assists and turnovers on the season? Nope. 2.7 to 3 turnovers per game. 2.7 assists. Yeah, I would like for Sharpe to have more assists and turnovers. When he has nights like tonight where he does, I'll praise it. But I think that's a very low statistical benchmark. 1-to-1 isn't even good. Exactly. Exactly. But that's the thing is Caleb Love's actually making plays for other players right now at a higher level than even Shane Sharpe. I didn't expect that. Jacob says no, but he's stepped up and you can't go a whole show without saying something negative. All right, what did I say that's negative, that's wrong? What I say that's negative, that's wrong. I don't even know who we're talking about. What do I say that's negative, that's wrong? That's the thing, man. Like, sometimes I feel like people don't even disagree if I, like, have a little bit of criticism for a player that played well, where I have, like, 90% I'm talking about how well they played, and then 10% it's like, this is something that needs to be better. And then they latch onto that 10% even though they don't disagree with it. And it becomes, I knew you had to say something negative. Like, you're just focused on the fact that I didn't have 100% positive things to say. Instead of just, like, actually having a conversation. I'm going to speak the truth. If 90% of something's good and 10% is bad, I'm going to point out the 90% that's good and the 10% that's bad. If you can't handle that, then good luck. Good luck. All right, we got Eric back, so this engaging with the chat thing is done. This is exact. Okay, I'll finish off. This is exactly my point, Eric. He says it's not wrong, so you don't even disagree. You're just upset that I had something to say that wasn't 100% positive. Like, stop being so freaking sensitive, man. Stop being so freaking sensitive. Denny has his bad nights, and I hear crickets. I've said at times that Denny had some sloppy turnovers in a game. I say there's some turnovers that I kind of excuse because he drives more than any player in the game, but there's sometimes he has sloppy turnovers, and I say he has sloppy turnovers. Have that same energy. That's a small negative thing when he has a good game. I don't see you curling up into a ball because of that. But also, it's like, yeah, Denny's averaging 7 assists with like 3.5 turnovers. It's 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Sharpe's still averaging more turnovers than assists. So, like, yeah, that's going to be a point of criticism. But on a night like today where he has 4 assists, 2 turnovers, I'll say that's better. That's what we want to see. Want to see him take better care of the ball. Want to see him throw those lobs to Klingan like he threw today. Want to see him have those dump-off passes to a cutter when he's hanging in the air like he had last game to repair. So I always point it out when he starts doing what I want to see more of. I always will. Like, that's the thing. You ain't even said I'm wrong. So you're just mad that I'm speaking the truth, I guess. Anyway.
I think his was just like you were talking about Caleb Love and threw in a shot at Shaden Sharpe, which is fine. It's just some people don't like that.
Well, I think they're being a little sensitive. I think that's a little sensitive. Like, I think if Caleb Love in this recent stretch of games can average 3.5 assists and 1.8 turnovers, a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, I think Shaden Sharpe can too. Is basically my point. Like, I don't think Caleb Love should be a better passer than Shaden Sharpe.
I mean, Caleb Love should be. He's a point guard, or should be an actual point guard who had like 800 years of college experience and is at least 2 years older than him. So,
yeah, a little bit. But I don't know. I just have never viewed Caleb Love as a point guard. In college, he averaged 3.4 assists, 2.4 turnovers. Like, I'd expect Caleb Love to... This kind of goes into what I saw from college and my expectations for Caleb Love coming into the league. His decision-making was spotty in college. Going up against bigger, quicker defenders in the NBA, I expected Caleb Love to be a turnover-prone player that struggled to make the right reads and was more turnover-prone to the point where he averaged more turnovers than assists. But lately, this month, he's been passing the ball well. 7 assists tonight. 2 games ago, he had 7 assists as well. I think that's been part of, people love the tough shot making and in some of the ways he scores the ball in the jump shooting, but the passing and that play where he had that behind the back pass that was, I think, a turnover on him that I think it hit Robert Williams in the hands. Like, even if that was a play where the defender got a fingertip on it and you could maybe blame Caleb Love, just the fact that he saw that and made that pass the way he did was impressive to me. Like, I don't even care that it was a turnover. Like, that was an impressive play. And
yeah, I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and then Jeremy has a behind-the-back pass this game. Like,
Robo caught that one.
I know. For some reason, who's expecting it more from Jeremy than Caleb Love? I don't really understand that. But, I don't know. I rifled through some players. Anybody you want to speak on before we move on?
No, just overall pretty good game. Kamara's just, I think we just have to view him as a role player that's not going to ever, like, you can't really change his role. I think, like,
you said Kamara.
He could have some good games, but like overall, like if you're needing a guy to step up and be the guy who takes over when you're missing players, that's just not going to be him most nights.
You remember when he was getting Jimmy Butler comparisons?
Yeah.
That's why I hated those freaking Jimmy Butler comparisons. It was like, year 2, Jimmy Butler averaged 8.6 points per game in 26 minutes. Like, Tamani's averaging the same. And you look at what Jimmy Butler turned into, Tamani can turn into the same. Like, it was just such, like, basically, because somebody in their second year averaged 8 points per game and became an all-NBA caliber player, so can anybody else that averages 8 points per game. I guess there was comparisons in terms of, like, their size and defense, but it was just a wild comparison. A freaking wild comparison. You can't just look at somebody that sucked their first 3 years in the league and then blew up into a star and say, oh, just because somebody sucks in year 3, we can still compare him to the star. No, that's those guys are the outliers. Guys with the development path of a Jimmy Butler is an outlier. Guys with the development path of a Denny Avdia is an outlier. And I'm at that point with Kamara where I don't expect him to ever be a secondary ball handler. I don't expect him to be a high-caliber playmaker. I don't expect him to be somebody that's knocking down mid-range pull-up jumpers. He's 3-and-D, and hopefully when he drives to the rim, he can improve some of the finishing around there and be a little less turnover prone. And I think that's what you're going to get throughout your career, which is completely fine. He fills a very necessary role on this team and a very important role. It's not even to necessarily downplay his importance in terms of being a 3D player that made all defensive second team last year. It's just, some people look at a young player year 2 and try and imagine them being completely different offensively. And I think that's just in the imagination. Like, I don't see it happening with him.
Yeah, to me, it's just, the 3-point shot should steadily improve a little bit. And then, you'd like to see him add like one other thing to his game, offensively maybe. But yeah, it's just not really happening that much.
Should I engage once more with this guy, or should we move on to the bench? I'll let you decide.
Let's move on.
All right. Well, I talked about Caleb Love already. I don't know if you had anything to add. If not, move on.
Caleb's been great. I'm sure his supporters accept your apology for him. I wasn't the greatest Caleb Love guy either. I did think with how many people dropped out of last draft, I did think he was potentially a second round pick, just kind of like by default. But I'm hoping this is the case. It could just be, he's caught fire for a stretch and in a good situation, like you mentioned. But to me, sometimes there are some players that just kind of click in a secondary role where you're not having the pressure of being the main guy the defense is focused on, the main guy that has to create offense for everyone. You're getting offense created for you for the first time in your life. And sometimes that is kind of freeing for a player. And hopefully that means Love can use that to be consistent, shooting a lot more catch and shoot threes than having to dribble up the court and create off the dribble like every time like he had to in college.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. The thing is, though, is like you can make that case about so many high-scoring college guards that are a little bit inefficient, and normally it doesn't happen the way that Caleb Love has happened the last 14 games.
Right, but a lot of those players don't ever really accept not being the guy, and that's Antonio Blakeney is the guy that comes to mind, but that guy's going to play the exact same, whether he's like supposed to be a role player or he's like the main scorer on a team. He's just going to shot chuck at will. And I think earlier in the season, Love was doing that same thing. Now he's picking his spots until he still shoots some step back threes, but it's usually like when the shot clock's lowering down and they've already work some offense, and they don't really have anything going, so he has to kind of create. But it's also, I think he's seeing the floor to where now he's catching the ball off a kick out pass, and you have a defender running at you, and just think how easy it is for him to fake a three and go by a hard closeout than it is to dribble up and try to get by like the best defender on the other team guarding you one-on-one in isolation or in a pick and roll situation. So I think as he's like processing the game from a different perspective, I do think there is a chance that he's just blossoming because he's like, wow, this is so easy compared to what I was having to deal with in college. Like I take a dribble off a pump fake and I see like nothing but open area in front of me, and I can kind of maneuver in that area. Whereas, in college, you can play zone and stuff. And so even if you did get by a defender, you're usually going into a packed paint, and the paint's packed for other guys. So when you kick out, it's kind of clears up again. So I do think he's finding some area to grow there. But finishing around the rim against big rim protectors, I think that's going to be interesting to see how his game develops there. But if he can learn how to throw those down passes and lobs and stuff consistently, I don't see any reason why he can't at least be an effective bench player.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I think that's just where, he has to play a little bit different role than he did in college, and you've talked about that a number of times. Playing off ball, catch and shoot threes, and then attacking closeouts is easier than having to be the number one player on a team, and you're constantly the number one guy scouted for, and you're bringing up the ball against the best defensive player on the opposing team, and then trying to create off the bounce and taking tough shots, and there's not as much spacing at the college level.
Because honestly,
that's a great point. Yeah.
Honestly, like how many times in his college career do you think he got like a catch and shoot three pump fake to a closeout? Instead of being the one shooting off the dribble or whatever. There wasn't. To me, there probably wasn't a huge diet of that in his game. Trying to think back on like watching him over all those years.
Yeah, good points. Jeremy Grant also scored 22 points today. Did it in 22 minutes. I thought he deserved a little bit more love in the player of the game poll. He got to the line 9 times. Part of the Blazers getting to the line a bunch this game, even though they didn't have Denny Avdia. Just imagine how many free throws they would have shot if they had Denny in this game.
Yeah.
But goes 6 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, 7 for 9 from the free throw line. It's just nice to have somebody like a forward that knocks down threes the way he does, and then can get to the line the way he does. I'm enjoying having him back, and people say it's funny how the narrative or the energy towards Grant is the complete opposite of last year. But I mean, his play is the complete opposite of last year. Last year he was brutally bad. This year he's been much, much better. Much, much better. And even with him coming off an injury, it doesn't look like he's rusty, man. He looked really good in this game.
Yeah, it seems like, when he's driving at the right times, he's shooting threes at the right times. It just, I don't know how this happened, but it just seems like his decision making and just his willingness to fit into the offense versus, because honestly, he flat out said that was the reason why he sucked last year. He tried to blame it on the offense changing, right? And he said that, and it's just like, dude, come on, man. That's such a lame excuse, for like trying to say you played bad because of it. It should be easy to fit into that. So to me, he's doing all the things he should have done last year with that change of role or what they wanted him to do in terms of not shooting mid-range and only shooting threes and driving strong to the basket. And I feel like it's like night and day difference between him last year and this year. And I mean, maybe you could say, oh, it's the second year with doing that, so he's just a little more comfortable. But it really seemed like he was kind of abrasive to embracing it last year, whereas this year he seems to see the value in it and how it's helping the team. And he's just, I don't know, it's just so nice to have competent NBA players that come off the bench in our rotation. And how many games did he miss? Is he going to be ineligible for any awards or whatever? But
it's close.
He was definitely on pace to be in the running at least for six man if he continued to score 20 off the bench. So nice to see him go back to that role in only his second game back, third game back, something like that.
So let me see how many games he's played on the year. Let's do the math here. So the Blazers have played 43 games. He has played in 27, assuming this counts, 27 to 28. So he's missed 15 to 16
15
games.
or 16, so you can't miss another game.
Every single game the rest of the year, which of course is very unlikely. That's the thing. If he only misses like 3 games the rest of the year, he should still be in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. I feel like they went a little too high with the required games for the awards.
Should be like 62. We missed 20 games.
60. I do 60. Basically play in 3 quarters of the season. At least 3 quarters of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, I also think you can just take into account missed games with your ballot. Like, if a player only plays half the season, that should probably matter in terms of the criteria of what you're just voting on, and you can take that into account with all the other stuff you take into account when you're voting on this sort of thing. I don't know if you need a required games number.
Well, it's not really working, but the theory behind it wasn't to make someone have a required amount of games. It was to hopefully incentivize some of these stars to not sit out so many games for questionable reasons if they wanted to have the postseason awards, but it's not really working as intended.
Yeah. But you're punishing guys that are actually injured, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's punishing guys.
But you are rewarding guys who might not necessarily be better than the ones that are hurt, but that actually showed up and played more. So there is a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah, I think a guy's already being punished by being injured. I don't think you necessarily, because he plays 63 games, it's like one player plays 65 games, one player plays 63 games. There's barely a difference there. But in terms of the awards, there's like, this guy's eligible and this guy's not. It's just black and white. So that's why I think taking that into account when voting, like if a player plays 82 games and a player plays 65 games and they have similar stats, like everything's similar, you're going to vote for the guy who plays 82 games over 65 games. Like, it's all a gray area. It's all a scale, right? So...
Well, wasn't there was a player, I forget who it was it Embiid or someone who played like 50-some games and still made like all NBA or something? I don't know. So I think it was because the voters weren't doing that.
I mean, should a top 5 player, if he plays 55 games, should they be at least all NBA third team? Maybe. If they have a top 5 impact in 55 of the 82 games, like, you can make that argument that they should be third team. But, yeah. Anyway.
Does Love have a chance at Rookie of the Month? I'd have to see Flag's numbers in the West, but
let's look at Caleb Love's numbers this month. So Caleb Love this month is averaging 16 points per game, 3.5 assists, 43.5% from the field, 38% from 3. I don't know if that counts this game, by the way, because ESPN will like add the most recent game to the game log, but I don't think they'll put it in the averages at the bottom of the month for like until the morning after, which is kind of strange. Cooper Flag has missed some games. So let me look at Flag. So Flag has played in 7 games this month. He's averaging 16 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 43% from the field, 32% from 3. So, I mean, if he misses more time, I think Caleb Love has a case over him if Caleb Love continues this throughout the rest of the month. What about Derek Queen? Hasn't been playing at the same level with Zion back, but I'll check him as well.
He missed a game or two as well.
Yeah, he's averaging 10 points, 10 boards, 5.5 assists. He's played in 8 games.
Jacob says, look at Kong. I think there's a East and West Rookie of the Month, isn't there?
Yeah, I
so
believe so, yeah.
So I think even if Kong has better numbers, I think.
Yep. All right, let's finish out these players here. So Rob Williams, 8 points in 17 minutes, just continues to be solid. He goes 2 for 2 from the field. Is this his 3rd straight game not missing a shot? Oh, no, he missed a shot last.
I thought he missed a shot last.
2 games before that, he was 5 for 5.
He missed like a free throw line jumper at the end of a shot clock. Yeah.
So the last 4 games, Robert Williams is 15 for 16 from the field and 2 for 2 from 3 and 5 for 5 from the free throw line. So what's the true shooting percentage for him the last 4 games? I'm going to do the math for fun. I got my handy dandy true shooting percentage calculator. They have calculators on the internet for true shooting percentage. For all you nerds out there like me. All right, 37 points scored in the last 4 games from Rob Will on 16 field goal attempts and 5 free throw attempts equals a true shooting percentage of 101.7%.
Nice, Rob.
We like a 101% true shooting percentage.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So yeah, he's been great the last 4 games. You know, he's made a legitimate impact in limited minutes. You know, he's still playing 20 minutes or less per game. He had that one 30-minute game against the Pistons on December 5th. Next highest amount of minutes, he played 21 in the NBA Cup game against Golden State that I was at. And then everything's 20 or less. So still not playing a ton, but he's been very impactful lately.
Yeah, he's been consistently providing us some good backup minutes.
Mm-hmm. And then let me go back to the box score here. I'm all over the place. I got a million tabs open. Duop Reith, 5 points, 1 for 1 from the field, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Had 5 rebounds as well, and a block in 13 minutes. It's nice that his defense isn't quite as bad as it was for that stretch earlier this season where he was like insanely bad defensively. So nice that the Blazers can play him and he has an impact. It seems like he's a little bit ahead of Young now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not saying much, but yeah, he is. I mean, he's been fine. Still don't think he's like doing enough when he's out there, but I think we'll take him not having like a negative impact on it.
Yep.
He's definitely, I don't know, I think he's better than Young still, but
yeah, I agree. And then Repair. So he did things in back-to-back games, Eric, and he said, you know what? That's a little too much for me. I'm going to have 0 points in 21 minutes. But I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to have 4 steals. So, that's cool. 0 points, 0 for 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. After going 3 for 4 last game, his 3 looks broken again. Like, I don't understand his jumper, man. He seems a little streaky for how bad he is. I don't think Chris Murray's, maybe he has, but I don't think Chris Murray is ever going to have a 3 for 4 shooting night from 3. I don't think Rupert's really a better shooter than Chris Murray is, but Rupert is capable once in a while of going like 3 for 3 from 3. Like just every now and then his shot's dialed in. And it was last game against the Hawks, and then today he does have a lot of threes where he airballs a lot. Like his misses are all over the place. It's very confusing to me.
Yeah. I mean, he had that one that was like way short. I do think he's playing well on defense, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's been fine lately, I think. I don't think he was that bad other than missing some shots tonight.
Yeah. Just want him to be a little bit more of an impact player offensively when he plays 21 minutes. Before these back-to-back 13-point games, the 7 games prior to that, the most points he scored in a game was 5. You know? And this is with him playing like 15 to 19 minutes per game. He had, a stretch in December where he played 6 minutes in a score, played 2 minutes. I mean, that doesn't count. Played 8 minutes in a score, played 11 minutes in a score, played 13 minutes, scored 2 points, played 13 minutes, scored 5 points, played 8 minutes, didn't score. Like, in the month of December, he averaged 11 minutes per game and scored 2.3 points per game. Like, just basically nothing. This month, he's averaging 17 minutes per game. He's scoring 5 points per game. That's still pretty much nothing. I mean, per 36, it's like 10 points per game. And this is off the back of back-to-back 13-point games. So that shows the other games, he's just a complete non-factor. But, like, he got some steals today. He had a couple assists, a couple rebounds, had 2 turnovers as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. Chat, let me know how you feel about Rupert's game today compared to the last couple. It's not like I thought he was turning a corner because he had back-to-back 13-point games. It was like, oh, he looks a little bit more confident. Like, hopefully that'll last. And, well, I don't know. But anyway, that's everybody meaningful that played. Blazers' next game is tomorrow. They take on the Kings. And hopefully get back to 500. We'll see who plays. Let me look at the early spread line for that. I'm curious. Blazers are currently 2.5-point underdogs. Yikes.
Nice.
Yikes. Bro, we better not lose to the freaking Kings, man. We better get back to 500. I want to be 500 so bad. It's sad that for years we were always in the playoffs, always above 500 second half of the year, and now it's just like, man, it would just be super cool to see us be 22-22. Why would we lose to the Kings? I mean, we're 2.5-point underdogs. We might not have Denny, Drew, or Grant, and they have Sabonis back. He missed 27 games. They just got him back. So that's how they're underdogs. I mean, even with them missing a bunch of players, we almost lost to them twice in a row earlier this season. So if we're missing a bunch of players and they're healthy and they're at home and their home crowd still shows up because of Sacramento, they have a great fan base. A little worried about tomorrow's game, but get a win, I'll be happy to be 500. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the postgame show. You got 2 more football games tomorrow, 2 more playoff games tomorrow. If you want to put down a parlay or have some fun with those games. I know I'll need to in order to have fun watching football right now after the freaking travesty that happened tonight. You can go check out Sleeper and use the promo code Uprise. You'll get a free $20 entry. No deposit required. You don't have to put in any of your own money to get that free $20 entry. So it's essentially free. If you win, and you're taking advantage of a great deal there, you'll get a 100% deposit match if you do deposit up to $100 with the promo code Uprise. And you'll help out the channel. And you'll help me out. You'll help us out. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the channel. It's the least you can do for our sorrows as Niner fans is use the code. If you're a Seahawks fan and you're
could have made
reveling,
a lot of money betting on the Seahawks tonight.
I know. You could have had over 1.5 touchdowns for Kenneth Walker. You could have had under 0.5 touchdowns for any Niner because the Niners can't score touchdowns against the Seahawks. 2 straight games, 8 straight quarters. The Niners don't have one single touchdown. So should have seen it coming. And you could have really benefited off of our pain. But if you didn't, now at least use the code and help soothe our pain because we're in pain. But the Blazer fan of me, side of me, is not in pain. That's cool. I feel like every time one of my teams loses in the playoffs, I lose just like a little sliver of my soul. So, hopefully I get a championship to heal my soul soon.
Well, the Blazers this year.
Yeah, true. I will say, like, collectively, Niners, things are looking up. This is the best I've felt, or not the Niners. I don't know if things are looking up for the Niners, unless they move to the substation. For the Blazers, I think I feel better right now than I have since they traded Dame. Like, This is the best I've felt about the team right now. Honestly, even when they had Dame, it was always kind of a mess and always felt like, we're running out of time. And we haven't made the playoffs since 2021. And even that 2021 year, we had Norm and traded for Norm, but defensively they were one of the worst teams in the league. But they were in the playoffs, right? So I guess since 2021, since the start of, what year was it? We were 10-4, 10-3. This is the best I've felt about the team since that hot start.
It was the season that we traded, or like the one leading to when we traded Dame.
2022 to 2023, that season.
Yeah. Yep.
So since 2022, this is the best I've felt about the team, and it's 2026. So it's been a while. But it's kind of nice.
How would you feel if you're a Bronco fan right now?
I would be like, why couldn't we have a backup quarterback come in to go kneel the ball in the center of the field? Because that's the play he heard it on, right?
I think they said he heard it the play before.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought they said he heard it on that play. Yeah, I don't know.
It was the second to last play, I think. Yeah.
I mean, I still think their defense is so good. I still think they have a chance to beat whoever. But, man, this is really shaping up for an easy Seahawks Super Bowl win. I'm a fan of the wrong Seattle team. The curse lives on. Or should I...
Wait, you would have seen a championship already if you were a fan of
True. Well, no, they wouldn't have won a championship if I was a fan.
Yeah, maybe you should have been a fan of them then.
I don't know, man. I've made wrong decisions my whole sports fandom life, I guess. I don't know. But things are looking better for the Blazers. Things were good for the Mariners last year. Hopefully they can bounce back, although the Dodgers have ruined baseball. And there's a lockout coming in 2027. And then the Niners, hopefully they don't have a hospital team next year. And Gonzaga didn't almost lose to Seattle University today. They won by 20, so I don't know. They have a chance because March Madness, but yeah, I've been bad about not watching college basketball this year. I keep I want to do a big board. Dude, my first big board might just be off vibes and highlights.
I recorded 20 games today. Looking forward to going through this.
Yeah, I'm struggling this year to watch college ball. I don't know why. But yeah, so
this is a time thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I can see a player's highlights and be like, I like the way he moves, and then they pan out later. Oh, you see my boy Jalen Tyson score 39. You know?
Yeah.
You know, Jalen Tyson looking pretty good right now. But yeah, my first big board is maybe going to be the most like kind of BS big board I've ever made. Truthfully, but like I'll catch up. I always catch up if I start late. So yeah, college ball has been great. Yeah, I've been paying attention in box score, watching a little bit and listening to podcasts and shows and stuff. Just haven't done enough of my own research with my two eyeballs watching real games. So, you know, we'll see. But it's a really fun draft class, I'll say that. Really fun guard class, and then you got some kind of uniquely skilled, like, bigs. You got a couple tweeners, you know, like Lendeborg's a 4 that could be a fun, like, small ball 5, but he's a fun player. And then you got Kamara, who came out of nowhere this year. I'm looking forward to starting to talk about prospects because it's a really, really fun class. Who knows if the Blazers will have a pick, though, you know? Who knows if they have a pick? One thing I talked about when you were dealing with your internet trouble, last thing for the stream. Do you think there's a chance they could catch the Lakers? They're 4.5 games back. They won the season series. Lakers kind of trending in the wrong direction. Klingan never does anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a chance, yeah. I don't know.
We'll ask you this. Are you more confident in them catching the Suns or the Lakers? Because they're tied right
Probably the Lakers right now.
Yeah,
I keep waiting for the Suns to come back down to earth. It doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon.
It pisses me off. They're not supposed to be good. They were supposed to be good last year, and they sucked. And then they passed us up, and it was like, wow, how are we as good as the Suns? And then this year it's like, okay, well, I guess we're supposed to be better than the Suns. And now they're freaking good again. They're not supposed to be good. It annoys me.
Well, they're doing it with defense right now.
I know.
They've got one of the highest rated defense over the...
That should be our defense, though. Like,
yeah.
I know we're happy to be one game below 500. We've dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's just like, man, if we could have defended like we did the second half of last year, we're probably 8 games above 500 or something like that, like the Suns are. You know, like, we're probably having the conversation, man, can we get a 6 seed? Who do you want to play in the first round? But we're only 4.5 games back behind the 6 seed with one of the easier schedules left this season. Just got another win against a team that's a playoff team above 500. Yeah, the roster they had on the court was weak. They were missing their 3 best players. But this is one of the games on the schedule that looked like it could be tough that we won. Just like the Rockets games, just like the Spurs game on the 3rd, just like the Celtics game on the 28th. There's been a lot of those games lately against getting wins against above 500 teams. So if the Blazers can take care of business against some of the weaker teams, which I think they will, I don't know. I don't know where to expect the Blazers to be at the end of this year. So, but we'll have that game against the Kings. We need to start talking more trades. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. If not, 22nd, 23rd. We're getting into trade season. I feel like we haven't really dove in at the level that we normally would.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we'll talk that. We'll start talking draft prospects and that sort of thing. You know, we've just been able to make it more than half a season just focusing on basketball because the basketball's been fun and competitive. So we love that. Anything else, Eric?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night.
Yep, we'll be back at it tomorrow after the Blazers take on the Kings, 6 p.m. tip-off time. Hopefully they can get a win. And we'll have the postgame show for you guys. Have a good rest of your night. Use the promo code Uprise on Sleeper. Soothe our pain. If you're a Seahawks fan reveling in our pain, the least you could do for us is just use code Uprise. Take advantage of the great offer on Sleeper. You know? Anyway. Football made me sad this year. Fantasy was brutal. And then freaking Seahawks are going to win a Super Bowl. But at least the Ducks lost to Indiana by like 1,000,000 points. So at least I have something. Anyway. We're out of here. Have a good rest of your guys' night. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!